Joseph Johnson woke up with a brazen grimace painted on his face, at 11:03 in the morning. Huh? Joseph blinked.
It's morning.
At the moment this thought dawned on Sir Joseph Johnson, the sun cast a ray which graced his left eye. He prolongedly winced for a while, then came back to. Then he looked down at his phone, which was ringing. It lay on his nightstand. Joseph hated his phone. He answered the phone.
Hello?
This is Walmart. We wanted to notify you that we will not hire you at this location. Your past is appalling.
Huh? Why? What on earth is appalling about my past?
But Walmart had hung up the phone. Joseph winced, and held down his eyes to keep back the tears.
What is with this bum luck?
Joseph had long suspected that he had been cursed. Roll a dice. Born with a shark-looking face, but not being of the popular shark humanoid breed, born with a small penis, always having a low IQ, hated by girls, disrespected by everyone, insignificant.
How can I fully accept insignificance?
'Twas the type of life which breeds the fantasy. Yes, Joseph Johnson had long stayed up at night, imagining himself as a billionaire with many wives, sometimes as a war hero, sometimes as a scientist. He never fully believed it was over for him and his story, until now. This is the pattern of the loser. A loser who is too scared to drown himself in booze. Joseph Johnson often wishes he could drink, but he's scared of getting high. He always winds up believing that Jesus Christ will come to him when he gets too high. Joseph, feeling depressed, decided to treat himself. What do you think? IHOP. He'd always felt weird sitting by himself in a high-end restaurant. Just him and a stack of pancakes, giving each other an ultimatum. Joseph Johnson said a prayer. Then he commenced attack. Grace. Speed. And strangely, power. No need for a napkin, he was practiced. Polish the knife and fork.
I'm still hungry.
Joseph Johnson raised his hand.
More pancakes, please.
The mom smiled, and laughed.
Oh boy.
The waitress raised her hand to her mouth. Joseph Johnson was poised with knife and fork in each hand, ready as hell to eat. She saw this and decided not to joke around anymore. He remained steadfast. Fast forward to Operation Pancake. This time Joseph put a few more condiments on. In full his recipe consisted of blackberry jam, maple syrup, butter, peanut butter, and M&Ms. He brought them inside. Onlookers began to become more interested in the scene. In a, dare I say, intoxicated bout of pancake eating, Joseph Johnson started getting grime on his face for the first time in a long time. This is strange indeed, considering Joseph's grace and finesse with any meal. He was a veritable whale. The waitress knew something was up. She tapped Joseph on the shoulder. His eyes rolled around as he aimed his head up towards hers. She had a look of consternation in her eyes, yet the rest of her face remained soft and puckered. Joseph Johnson felt a hard-on coming on.
Joseph, your face is covered in poop and food.
Joseph Johnson, chagrined, softly exclaimed,
Poop.
What? Joseph?
Joseph shook his head rapidly, then forgot about this whole scene. Joseph grabbed his face. Slippery? He realized that his face was covered in jam and syrup.
Gross. I talked to a girl like this.
Joseph got out of his seat. He verbally uttered, "Or," and ran out of IHOP, embarrassed. Where to? Walmart. Joseph felt relaxed in Walmart. He had a memory of playing video games in this very store. But that was then. This is now. He entered on the left side of the building, if you face the building head-on. So the first thing he saw was a well-organized mountain of soda pop. They drew a pumpkin using 12 packs of Dr. Pepper. You know, alternating between diet and regular packs. As in, one's colored silver and the other black.
I think I'll get a pack. Or 3.
After the soda escapade, Joseph sternly eyed the shrimp. When they occurred to him, he spun around 180 and gazed upon them. It took all the strength of common sense to keep him from running full speed onward. Joseph was holding a bag of ultra-jumbo shrimp, staring into space. He shook his head. He put the bag in the cart and wheeled it onward to the hot dogs and steaks. At this point the excitement had him geeking, and he began to wheel the cart around with great speed. 1, 2, 3 items in the cart. He experienced single-mindedness. He was reaching for the milk as his phone rang again. He winced in expectation.
Yes?
Joseph Johnson?
It is I.
Yes, so we can't hire you because of your past. Our interview process includes acquaintance interviews, as per Trump Doctrine 949. So we know more about you than you might expect.
Joseph Johnson sank to the floor, trying to hold back the Congo River of tears. But nary a held back tear, he was a fit receptacle for a spectacle. The fat boy cries, sunk into himself, face wet, face bitch, people's pity. Not many people acted like they respected him, but they did try to comfort him. This frustrates a bitch. But most butchers begin as bitches. He swatted away the helping hands, as per the ego. Sin? Only in the opinions of people. Joseph Johnson was a moral nihilist. But, Joe was also a trooper. So he ignored the comforting ululations and wheeled away his grocery cart as if nothing had happened. People stared at him with surprise. Some wondered if he was insane in the membrane, you know, down to the core. Only God knows. Oops, I mean, only element balls do. So, what is Joseph Johnson's relation to the element balls, you ask? I'm not sure. Or maybe I am. Either way, I like to keep you, our dear readers, in suspense. All he needed was Jack Link's Matador before he could leave Walmart. When he proceeded to check out, he felt the cashier gave him no respect. A young man, with a punk-ass attitude, checked him out.
Bitch. If only you've seen the things I've seen. Wait till you're 30, like me.
Joseph Johnson's phone began to ring. He winced in pain, and an onlooker could tell that he indeed had winced. He made a face at the moment that implied that he may have farted. The cashier looked disgusted and asked,
"Aren't you gonna answer that?"
That'd be improper grocery store etiquette.
No, it wouldn't. Just answer your phone, jackass.
The young man made a punk face. Joseph Johnson shoegazed in cool contemplation. He was considering answer.
Sure. Hello?
Joseph Johnson.
It is I.
The young cashier was eyeing Joseph Johnson with cool consternation at this point.
We can't take you on at this job.
Joseph Johnson closed the flip phone, and broke down in tears. He sank to the ground and rehearsed the fetal position. The cashier didn't even laugh. He held his serious, honest opinion of Joseph. This seriousness made Joseph feel unwelcome, so he cried and farted even harder. Everyone looked at the situation logistically, and just wanted Joe's ass out of the way.
Get out of the way. We've all had hard days. Quit being so gay.
Joseph left his groceries behind and ran out. He sniffled as he started his car. A mob was still following him, so he thought. They weren't. That was wish fulfillment. If he was at least notorious, he'd be popular. And that was precisely what he most certainly was not. Where to now? Joseph's phone rang again. Maybe this will help me decide where to go, Joseph sardonically thought. No, believed.
Go home, Joseph.
Why?
The other line hung up. Joseph pulled out of his parking spot.
I'll go home then, fuck it. I need guidance.
When he pulled into the driveway, he saw the white Ford 350 van. This creeped Joseph out.
I'll just proceed to the door and pretend it's not there.
He did so. But when he passed, a voice sounded.
Hey, you.
Joseph turned around. It was a clown in white makeup, white face clown.
What do you want from me?
Retina will show you.
Joseph Johnson did so. Joseph Johnson was violated. The clown's grand finale was saying,
I just showed you what you wanted.
When Joseph began to sob, Joseph Johnson woke up, screaming. His phone was ringing. He pulled the sheets out from under him. They smelled bad. He answered the phone.
Hello, Joseph Johnson.
Hello, it's Joseph.
We know. We can't hire you on at Wendy's. We have principals here.
Joseph Johnson hung up the phone out of spite. We have principals here, Joseph thought to himself in a gay baby's voice. But his bulwark attitude was an artifice covering the weakness he knew too well. He was hurt, on the inside and possibly even the outside. That is usually the nature of illness, it begins on the inside and spreads throughout, extending to the outside. Many ancient traditions regarded all disease as a symptom of the soul. I find this view simplistic and in the end, cruel. I know a man like Joseph Johnson tries his best. It's no fault of his own that he does not succeed.
Well, what do I do today? Any direction that I could muster up in my imagination, I'm on wanton air. Like shipwreck trash. A captain sees that, he just drives the boat over it. Too ugly to include in a picture of the sea, but at the same time, too insignificant to sink a ship. I'm like a bag of chips at sea. No note in the bottle, no octopus. Chips. A bag of chips. Refuse of another, superior man's hedonistic appetites.
So he drove aimlessly for a while. Why not? What's there at home? A television, a laptop. Gross refrigerator with mustard stains.
I'm sick of it all.
Nothing works out for Joseph Johnson. The glass? It's completely empty. His waitress forgot the refill. He got one taste, a filled-up cup, which he sucked down within seconds of the waitress bringing it to him. That was when Joe was born, brimming with ideas, ambitions. He wanted desperately to be a banker, lust, compassion, and religion. Yes, old Joe always had religious thoughts. He considered religious philosophy to be his sole God-given talent in this life. He'd been taken fishing once in his life, he'd never been hunting. He'd been on a single roller coaster ride, at Six Flags, where he puked. He'd ding-dong ditched his close friend and neighbor, who didn't even mind. It was barely even a joke. Point is, Joseph never really had any great adventures to brag about. It was as if Rona L.D. McDonald took a big old shit on him, a turning of the tables. The phone began to ring.
Well, I'm driving, but I guess I'll take the risk.
Hello, Joseph Johnson.
Hello?
You think you're a clown?
Why what?
Never mind.
Oh okay.
Don't be naive. You're a clown.
Joseph Johnson promptly hung up, put his head in his hands, and began yelling.
Make it all stop.
Naive fool. He hasn't pieced the puzzle together. There's a reason for this, shall we say, déjà vu? He must solve this problem.
Someone's toying with me.
Good first step, Joseph. The light bulb's got a smidgen of current. It's gotta be this clown guy. Who the hell is he? Call him back. His fingers reached for the phone, yet stopped in their tracks.
I can't.
Gay bitch.
But shouldn't I get it over with?
He grabbed the phone and held it up to his sight.
No. Remember the motto, bold actions require bold reasons. I'm not being tracked down by anybody. Everything's cool. I've just been having nightmares lately.
A big checkers sign appeared before Joseph's line of sight. Joseph retracted his lips and further proved Pavlov's point. He thinks to himself, should I? He's basically choking the steering wheel at this point. In a last-minute decision, he burns his tires pulling into checkers. Immediately, he felt feelings of both regret and satisfaction. A dirty feeling, not dissimilar to coming inside of a midget. Then he saw it. That painful insult. His forehead was throbbing. He felt the fat on his waistline whimpering, as if a stultifying object of lust and gluttony suddenly disappeared. A giant sign, which said, "Not hiring Joseph Johnson." He didn't have tears left at this point, he used them all up in his nightmares. Perhaps he had them to thank for conditioning him to this sort of denial of his identity. He was a repugnant nail, that much was clear to him now. He wouldn't fight this battle. No. He was just tired. Pulled down by gravity. He knew, for the first time, the essence of gravity, and its bearings not only in physical, yet also in human, dimensions. The 1998 Buick turned a 180, in a solemn and depressed manner.
You don't want me? Well, I'm gone.
He looked once more at that insult, but it was gone. Joseph stopped the car and began rubbing his forehead and eyes.
I'm just tired. So tired. Well, now that I know that I hallucinated the sign, I guess I'm safe in ordering a meal. Phew. It's getting to my head. Just to be optimistic. If you order a drink at Checkers, That fucker ain't only half full, it's completely full.
And with that, he was in the drive-thru.
1 second, please.
He was taking longer than that. He was trying to find a big Buford coupon on his flip phone.
Hello? You still there?
A car honked at Joseph to hurry up.
Yes. Fine. 1 big Buford, please.
He floored it, and stopped right at the first window. He was annoyed by this town. Shitty Ohio town. He ate the meal in the parking lot. But, his parking spot was directly in front of a bunch of other parked cars. With people in them. He could see them. Making fun. Staring. Pointing fingers. Laughing. Being evil. He'd seen the face of the devil. Now he was just tired. He learned how to eat a meal with fingers in his face in middle school. He was a real walrus back then. Still is. He got out of his car to throw away the bag of half-eaten fast food. He saw hoodie-wearing thug rushing up to him with a baseball bat.
No.
Joseph Johnson woke up. Things were looking green, but as he rose to full consciousness, and actually looked into the detail of his surroundings, the green hue wore off, but still somewhat resided in the background of his mind. I feel sickly. Something in the air was fishy. It felt to Joseph to be a perfect day for a zombie apocalypse. This idea somewhat excited him. It could be conjectured that his willingness for an apocalyptic scenario is fueled by his secret desire to be a hero, but it is frankly doubtful that he'd survive such an ordeal. But, who knows? Not I. What would Joseph Johnson do in a zombie outbreak? Well, how about a look into his own personal zombie outbreak scenario journal? In case of a zombie outbreak, stock up on a can of beans. Stay in the house. Bar the doors and windows. Leave one window on the 2nd floor unbarred. In case of a one-on-one zombie fight, make sure to damage its brain. This is the whole of his so-called zombie journal. It seems to me unlikely that he'd survive.
I'll just stay in bed today. Remain true. This is what I want for myself. I'll see what's on TV.
Things on television were strange, scary,